Roll up your sleeves, pour yourself another drink, because this is Off the Cuff.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the official TSV 2.0 launch. My name is Kyle.
I'm Dan.
And honestly, thanks everyone who's supported us through the past year and a half of the second viewing. Thank you to our Patreon supporters. As you can see, things looking a little different around here. We got a little bit better lighting and production quality, and along with that, we got a nice new set here. Nice little table. So shout out to everyone who's ever put $1 out there, put $20 out there, shared a video, liked a video, whatever it may be. We appreciate it. To
Absolutely.
the moon and back.
Yeah, all that stuff is not going into our pockets. It's absolutely going back into the set of the podcast to make sure that we can make some better content for you guys. So
yeah, it's all about, expanding the show and keeping the show going and just getting better and better as things go. Also, these chairs are very squeaky. We realize this.
Little
squeaky. We want to put that out there foremost. We obviously haven't listened back to this episode yet, but I can already tell she's going to be squeaky.
A little bit of a squeak.
That's fine, though. So, if you guys haven't seen the Off the Cuff segment before, this is a segment in which we take a look at a newer film, sometimes hopefully brand new, or a movie we've never seen before, and talk about it off the cuff. What are our initial thoughts? And this week we saw a film that is fucking killing the box office right now. Let's see. The total so far is $920 million.
One of the most anticipated movies of the year.
I never did anticipate this. I forgot it was fucking coming out. But it's killing it. Clearly, I'm the minority in that. And that is, of course, Beauty and the Beast, the 2017
No,
remake.
it's not Beauty and the Beast. It's Beauty and the Beast.
Okay, sure. So, yeah, obviously this is the live-action remake of the 1991 Disney animated film.
We got Emma Watson, Emma Stone, whatever the fuck her name is.
Can we just say that we did not plan on watching this today?
No, we didn't. Actually, what we really wanted to watch was Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah, Ghost in the Shell, which already was like a week old. We were trying to watch something current for you guys this week, but there was nothing new in theaters this week that was honestly like that exciting or that extravagant. So we said, hey, you know what? Fucking Ghost in the Shell is a week old. Let's check it out. Naturally, we missed that show because we're terrible at missing showtimes.
Well, we haven't seen each other in a while. We're busy dudes. It came to the point where it was kind of like we needed to watch a movie that was relatively current. And given the hype around Beauty and the Beast, we figured it was necessary to at least cover it in some respect. Otherwise, we would have had some people asking us, why haven't you watched this extremely popular movie? A
lot of people have asked me about this. Hey, have you seen Beauty and the Beast? And I kept saying, no, I just don't really have much. True, yeah. I don't really want to watch it.
Yeah.
That's honestly what I was thinking. I never thought it looked necessarily bad.
I haven't been excited
I wasn't the kind of person who saw that trailer and was like, oh, that looks fucking shitty. I don't want to see that. I was more or less just kind of like, oh, okay, cool.
Okay, I want to analyze the reason, though, for a quick second, because I feel like the reason why we didn't want to watch Beauty and the Beast was a different reason from why we wanted to watch something like Ghost in the Shell. Now, Ghost in the Shell...
That's a good point.
Based off of an anime, right? Or a manga, both. I think. Technically both. So... It was a new adaptation. It was something different, something separate and apart from Western culture, which is cool.
We can't quite say that because we haven't seen it.
That's right, we haven't seen it. But I mean, if I'm to judge it purely just based on what my knowledge of it so far, without having seen it, I would say that it's an exciting adaptation.
Right.
Where Beauty and the Beast is, to me, and maybe not to everyone, not necessarily an exciting adaptation, but an adaptation.
Well, I mean, you don't necessarily... I think we can just break it down even simpler. It's like we were more excited for fucking Ghost in the Shell than we were Beauty and the Beast. It's just not quite up our alley as much as maybe other people.
That's true, yeah, totally.
And I don't want to discredit the original film because I actually think that's one of the better Disney films from the so-called Disney Renaissance of the 90s, where we had fucking like Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast and Mulan and Hercules and... all those really great films that were coming out in that 10-year span. And here we are today in this remake. And I just got to say, off the bat, I don't think this movie should exist. That's where I'm staying with this.
And I think the initial jumping point into what we're going to get into in a few seconds here is the fact that this movie is, in my opinion, almost meant to bring out some form of nostalgia. And we talked about this in the car ride over. It should strike some nostalgia within me. Me being the generation this original A Beauty and the Beast was catered to. Being the guy that
we're even far removed from that in a way, because like we were born 3 years after that film came out, and that film that to me is enough proof that film is timeless. Because we were at least 4 or 5 before we saw it. That's coming near the end of the fucking decade, and we still thought that shit was fresh.
Yeah,
do you know what I'm saying? Like this should feel that fresh, but it doesn't. I'm sorry to cut you off.
It's
but
still
continue your point.
You're right. No, and it continued to be played because it was so timeless in a certain sense. But back in the day, now. I just really don't think that this movie needed a reboot. Now, my in-depth opinion is basically that the movie should have, like Galaxy often does, or like Cineplex often does, is they have a weekend where they showcase some older movies, or they showcase a bunch of Disney films, or a bunch of Pixar films, or a bunch of whatever films. And that's what they should have done instead of making this movie.
But at the same time, I don't think like that has to be... Like a movie, are you saying that this movie needed like a push towards it to enjoy it?
No, not necessarily. I'm saying that in anticipation of making a reboot, to which they should have waited a few extra years at least, they should have. If they wanted to see the interest in this crowd around watching Beauty and the Beast again, they should have played it again in mainstream theaters.
I hate to break it to you, but this movie was re-released 3 years ago in 3D.
Was it fucking
So they actually did a sample screening, basically, of it. I hate to break it to you. Like, this movie, they did that. They did it with Little Mermaid. They did it with Aladdin, I think, also. No, Lion King. They've re-released these movies. But I never thought of it until you bring up this point that that's probably fucking why they were doing this. Because they wanted to see where the interest was still in. And those movies are fucking making big still.
That might honestly, like, not necessarily change my opinion on the movie.
It might not be our opinions, but maybe other group of people's opinions.
And, I can see from a business perspective, as far as movies are concerned, it's obviously there is the movie business side of things, right? So I would say that, if there was a huge, there was a huge turnout for Beauty and the Beast when they did this a few years back, I can understand why Hollywood decided to go with making a reboot of this movie. I think
that shit makes enough sense. This movie made almost $1 billion already. It's been less than a month since it's been out.
Right. So, I mean, as far as the business side is concerned, I get it. But we're not necessarily here to talk about the business side of things. We want to talk about the actual movie, and we want to talk about the release. So getting into the nitty-gritty, I don't think that...
Do we really have to talk about the film? I don't think we do, to be honest.
I don't think we do. I mean, it's not necessary that it was made, because the crowd that this was meant to cater to... nostalgic-wise, was us. Now, nostalgic-wise, I felt almost nothing watching this movie. Particularly, the music almost frustrated me more than anything.
You were more against the music than I was. I thought the music, like the rest of the fucking film, didn't do much for me, but it still felt like I needed it. Like I was waiting for "Be Our Guest," or like the Gaston song, and I was waiting for these moments because those are the things that I remember about Beauty and the Beast. These are the things that I guess I feel nostalgic for to some degree. I don't know. Like the thing is this movie lacks the joy and the emotion and the fucking wonder and wisdom and whimsy of the original. It feels soulless to me. And I need to make this clear that I don't necessarily think the film is bad or terrible or that it's a complete write-off. But I just think in terms of being a remake, it is literally beat for beat, scene for scene, a remake of the original. And in doing so, they've stripped everything that is interesting of the original from that.
Exactly.
And in this film, it feels lifeless. It's by the numbers. And I mean, I say this from someone who's, of course, seen the original and has seen it multiple times over the past 22 years. But, I would often wonder, though, the only thing I have to say in general about this particular opinion is, how would I feel watching this for the first time having never seen the original Beauty and the Beast. I really wish I could have those new eyes, because maybe I'd feel differently.
Me too, yeah. That's a really good point to bring up. Now, I think generally speaking, I would say that this movie is, like you mentioned, is beat for beat like the original.
Like, literally scene for fucking scene, man.
It is scene for scene in so many different ways, but it changes things up in the way that, well, I guess the only thing that really changed up is the fact that it's live action, almost.
I would also beg to differ that it is live action. Half the shit is fucking computer animated. Like, that's what bugged me the most about this, is, like, there's so much green screen. It's clearly not an actual sets. The first 15 minutes of the movie, I was actually really fucking enveloped in it because, like I was mentioning to you in the car, I have these really great sets of the town, and you kind of feel welcomed by these people inhabiting the town or the village or whatever the fuck it is, and Wall Bell's traveling through it from set to set, from building to building. It was obviously real sets, and it felt
it's a little bit more real.
It felt like a stage play, but at the same time, it felt normal to me. But by the time they got to the fucking castle, everything was animated, everything was CGI. It was like, what's the point at this this place? What's the point?
The only live action thing we saw was a couple of fucking from Emma Watson.
But like, I get it to a degree, because like, how can you reimagine in live action the candlesticks and the beast? Like, I get that has to be altered. I understand that. But I think, and I'm not really griping that, I think in terms of that, sure, it was done well enough.
No, but it comes to a point where you beg for something more then. Well, if you have to do something live action to recreate what the original was, then why not introduce a new element into it? Why not change it up a little bit? Why not have a fresh take or a new element?
It's a little weird,
There's something that just falls behind, and I think that's the point I'm basically trying to get at. It's live action with heavy CGI, and they sit like this instead of fitting the perfect balance that you need within a movie. They almost fall short. And to me, and not necessarily for you, but to me, the music fucking set me over. So it was kind of, it was sitting here and here where I was like, okay, this movie's all right, and then a song happened, and I went, I've heard it before. I'm done.
Well, answer me this.
Why is it so much the same? Please leave me the fuck alone. I don't want it anymore.
Well, answer me this. Done. Did you enjoy the music in the original Beauty and the Beast?
Yeah, I would say generally. Mind you,
a big musical guy.
I gotta be honest. I haven't seen it in a lot of years. Okay, so, and I don't want to come across as. And we don't want to come across that we hate this movie, okay? Because that would be criticism. That would be unfair. So, but if I was to be critical, did I hate the movie in this, or did I hate the music in this movie? No, not necessarily, but I hated the way that it was fit into this movie. I didn't like the placing.
To be honest, though, that really interests me, because as far as I've read and understood, it's literally the same. So I think, I'm kind of talking for you at this point, but I think the way you might feel that is coming down to the tone we're talking about, and the way that everything doesn't quite feel right. And you're trying to get to the point where things feel natural, and then a song comes up, and you're like, okay, well, what the fuck's happening now? This is too much for me to handle.
And that might be exactly what it is, Kyle. It might be the fact that, there's this tone to the movie that I'm used to, because I know the plot of the film. It's a Rogue One in certain ways.
I actually disagree with you. I don't think it is a Rogue One, because this is a beat-for-beat remake. Rogue One had the chance to bring new characters in off the get-go, and they failed. But that's... Check our fucking off the cuff episode on that. Episode like 3 or something like that. He goes into that.
True, but you know what I'm getting at. So anyways.
You know what happens.
Yes, you know the end goal. You know what's going on, right? So now...
Rogue One, more like Rogue No Fun. Am I right, guys? Hey. Sorry, go ahead.
So the idea, for me, it's... Yes, okay, so maybe I hated the music, or I didn't like the way the music that was fit in, and it felt off to me. But you raise a good point, which is that maybe it's not necessarily the presence of the music in the movie that's wrong to me. It's maybe how it's incorporated into the film, or how the other parts of the film react to the music. Because the music is the most true thing to the original that is in this current movie, right? So maybe it's because
part.
and so maybe it's because I don't understand the all of a sudden live action influence of it, or maybe it's because I don't react well with it, or maybe it's the actors, or it could be a multitude of different things, right? But for some reason, it's this reaction of the music working with the other elements of the movie that turned me off. And not to say that I'm not saying this is a fucking 0 out of 10 movie, guys. Okay, I'm not saying it's a horrible flick. I'm saying that there was something about it, and I'm trying to figure it out as we talk here on the cast what it is. But it didn't necessarily feel to me what the original did, and it didn't recreate for me what the original did. And I don't think personally I enjoyed this one as much as I did the reel. Again, I was much younger when I watched the original, so I try to I digress a little bit, I guess.
Hear me out. Maybe I'll try to figure this out for yourself here. I'll give, based on what you've just said. I think a lot of this comes down to adapting an animated film to a live action film is a fucking hard bargain as is. And I think when it comes to an animated film where you have so much control over the characters and the way they move and the way they talk and the way they interact with one another, it's hard to do that and direct actors. You know what I mean? Like, you can do it to a great extent, of course. But it's really hard to say Emma Watson have this exact facial expression that made this one scene work in the animated film, or don't. And it's an adaptation, so let's roll with it, see how it works. And maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. And I think maybe yourself and myself included are leaning towards the fact that a lot of those things just don't work.
And that might be the fleshing of working with two mediums.
I gotta say right off the bat, though, why the fuck do people keep making like grassland, like background scenery CGI? That's something you can shoot. I get it if you can't make a fucking like a anamorphic candlestick realistic. I get that you're not gonna make a fucking animatronic. I get that, but if you can go to a fucking field and shoot that, why does it have to be a fucking green screen? That takes me out of the immersion so fast. Also, Emma Watson cannot run that fast from a village to a fucking field. And also, how does it take her dad 24 hours to get to the castle, but it takes her 4 seconds? I don't know. That shit pissed me off.
That is a great question.
I'm not into that kind of shit. I don't know, like, I left this movie instantly thinking to myself, like, this did not need to exist. And I know that's what I said right off the bat here, but I still stand fucking by that. Like, I don't necessarily think this is a bad film, but I just really think they never added anything to this movie. Like, from what I understand, like, this is what Disney's doing right now, in case you don't know, or viewers at home don't know, or listeners at home don't know. Disney is making these live-action films based off of huge properties they have from the past. They've already done Cinderella. They've already done Jungle Book. They've already done Peach Dragon, which is kind of hilarious. And they've done now Beauty and the Beast, and will soon do Lion King and Mulan and Little Mermaid. Honestly, this is the first one I've seen out of the last 3, I guess. From what I hear, though, Jungle Book and Cinderella are, again, beat-for-beat remakes, like what we just watched this night. But I also heard that Peach Dragon is a completely different take on the subject matter. And to me, that is the only film I'm actually excited to watch one day, because, fuck, I've seen Peach Dragon again. The movie came out in 1967 or some shit. Like, I know what it's about. Like, I want to see something different. I've seen Cinderella.
But also, we're talking about totally different mediums.
But even if it is a different medium, you have to realize that you can't. These studios have to realize that you can't make something beat for beat without trying to give it a new breath of fresh air.
And that's totally what I'm getting at, because, like, listen, if you're going to take a movie that was amazing, purely animated, and was beautifully put together and nominated for one of the best movies of all time at the Oscars.
Side note, that Beauty and the Beast was the first animated film ever nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars.
Yeah. So if you're going to take something like that, you're going to take a really a hard hitter movie like that and sort of intertwine or introduce a new medium to it. Fucking try something new, because seriously, what are you going to go with the same technique and the same exact script? Introduce some live action actors and call it a fucking day. It's almost unbelievable to me that they took the exact fucking animated movie they did, grabbed a couple live action actors, had them act out the goddamn same script, and called it $1 billion day. That's frustrating to me. I kind of want to reach out and say fuck you a little bit. Like
this movie was actually cheaply made as far as a blockbuster goes. 160 mil.
160 mil, dude. I feel like cheap. Kong Skull Island spent more than that and made a quarter of that.
Honestly, and like you bring up Kong Skull Island is a fucking good point because like that's a fucking franchise that exists on decades upon decades of fucking material. Okay, no, sure, I didn't fucking enjoy it as much as maybe the other people have. That's besides the point. But I will, like I said in the review, I give it credit for trying something different and giving it a different tone and breath of fresh air. And
that's something that this movie lacked. And 100%. I think that comes down to the bottom line of fucking I want to say Cinderella.
Basically, is Cinderella. This is Beauty and the Beast, but okay, then maybe let's get down to like two last things here. One thing I want to bring up, that the only thing I heard about this movie was, one, that it made a lot of money. Two, that Emma Watson isn't a very good singer in it, which I stand by because it sounds so unnatural to me.
In the first song, it's very, very noticeable. As soon as
she sings, it's weird. And the third thing is that people were freaking out about LeFou, the guy, Josh Gad, the character he plays.
Yeah.
Apparently he's gay. I never got that from watching the movie, like at all.
Oh yeah, it's right at the end. I guess he was with.
People were freaking out about that. Like people were saying, "I'm not taking my kid to fucking Beauty and the Beast." It's like, dude,
what? Really?
Yeah, like that to me. I never read that from the film.
It was almost never present in the entire movie.
I mean, also even if it was, who cares? But I just want to point out right away that is not even a fucking factor in this film. So if that's an issue you have with this movie, you haven't even seen it, throw it out the window. It's not. Yeah. It's not worth the worry.
No, I truly want to say if that's your problem before going into this movie, I think you have a problem with overreading into movies, generally speaking.
Well, people could say that about us too, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's our job, though. Like that's what we do. Okay. But if you're not going to take your kid to see this movie because you heard that there was a guy that ended up being gay in the movie and you don't endorse that, I think you have a different set of problems than we do.
And also, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
But one last thing I want to say before we get into the end portion of this episode is, what do you think about Emma Watson? Because that's kind of she was the kind of driving force of this film, I like to think. In terms of marketing and in terms of promoting the film and the announcement of this film, because as the film was announced, it was like Beauty and the Beast live action remake with Emma Watson as Belle, and the fucking internet and world exploded.
I gotta be honest, as far as the marketing was concerned, and maybe it was a touch farther away than most people, but actually, I almost forgot that Emma Watson was the lead role in this movie until we stepped into the movie. Like, it wasn't overly present for me, so I didn't really think about it too much. And I'm not going to say I was pleasantly surprised. I totally agree with you as far as the music was concerned. Right off the bat, it was very noticeable that the voice in the
auto-tuned a bit. Hey, like there's a lot of production in there.
Yes.
And it's weird because there's a
huge amount of production. And in comparison, like I instantly think of actresses like Meryl Streep.
Really?
Yeah.
You think she's a good singer?
No, I don't think she's a good singer, but I think the tone she conveys in real life and the tone she conveys in the musicals she's done are like accurate representations of her voice.
I gotta disagree strongly on this.
Really?
One. Yes. Have you seen Ricky and the Flash?
No, I haven't seen.
Have you seen Mamma Mia?
Yes, Mamma Mia. That's what I'm thinking of. That's exactly what it is.
Have you seen
I'm not saying I like
Florence Foster Jenkins?
Yes, I have seen that.
What the hell, man? She's terrible in these films. Like, actually bad.
I'm not saying that I love Meryl Streep. Matter of fact,
you should saying that either.
You should know that I fucking hate Meryl Streep.
I'm just saying she's a terrible singer, but whatever.
I just think that her voice in real life is accurately represented in the songs that she attempts to sing in the musicals she plays. Okay,
well,
so I just think that her tone of voice is very similar in both when she talks and when she fucking sings. And to me, you guys got to know this. And just being honest with her, I fucking dislike Meryl Streep to almost the ends of the earth. She's probably one of my least favorite actresses ever.
I think Meryl's tight.
I thoroughly disagree and dislike her.
I know you like Devil Wears Prada. Don't fuck me on that.
I like Devil Wears Prada.
I know you like Devil Wears Prada.
But I fucking don't like Meryl Streep.
All right,
I just want that to be known, okay? And I'm using her as an example because I think that in the musical she plays, her voice is accurately represented. I'm not saying it's good, okay? I'm saying that her voice sounds similar in the songs that she sings, and I don't think Emma Watson's is.
I'm going to have to show you Meryl Streep covering Uncle Kracker's Give Me the Beat Boys and Feel My Soul from Ricky and the Flash. I think you might think differently. I just need to say that.
Okay. Whatever's to come from that, I'm not sure. But more or less. Exactly. Yeah. And so my point is that Emma Watson's voice in real life does not reflect that of which she sings in this movie.
It's funny. It's funny to me.
It sounds so different.
It's funny to me because, to me, what Emma Watson kind of represents, or like, you know, the ambiance she gives off, feels very much like Belle. You know, strong female voice, you know, standing up for what she believes in, doing what she does, and I get that. That connects with me in terms of her as a person, her as a character, but her voice just sounds off balance to me. It doesn't sound natural at all, and it's even worse because a lot of other singers in this film sound great and sound natural and don't sound.
Matter of fact, the French guy.
Yeah, sure. Fucking Gaston, dude. Respect. Gaston. Also, in particular, I really like. There's like the three women who are like pining over Gaston.
Yeah.
I feel like they just had really good presence in terms of vocals. I don't really know, but that besides the point. It's like I gotta say straight up, I wasn't a big fan of Emma Watson's performance. I've liked her in pretty much anything else I've ever seen her in. Underrated film is Noah by Darren Aronofsky.
I actually haven't seen that.
Shout out to that film. That's an underrated film in general, guys. Check that out. It's fucking stupid. It's fucking wacky. But I stand by it. It gets the Kyle Zurevinski stamp of approval. But I gotta say, Emma Watson just didn't do it for me. It was just the kind of thing where she was handed such a major, monolithic role that seemed perfect for her. And I think she fucking shit the bed. She just felt so one note, so fucking statutory. It felt exactly like the film to me, or nothing was different. And I don't know, maybe that was the direction.
I like to bring up that point too. Is I felt that way about the whole film, not necessarily her.
So, but I do want to make that apparent that it's like that was one major thing about the film people were looking for it, and I'm gonna say that right now that she let me down a bit because I love her in the fucking Perks of Being a Wallflower. I love her in the Harry Potter movies, and I like her in The Bling Ring, the Sofia Coppola movie. I think she's great. I really do like Emma Watson, but I was not into her in here.
But as far as the movie is concerned, it almost felt as if that this movie was. There were some huge constraints on the flick,
you gotta wonder if Disney put some kind of constraint.
Yeah, and it felt like Disney or the director or whomever had the same fucking sort of leash around all of the actors in the movie. It's like, you need to appear this way and you need to act this way, and in trying to appear that way, Emma Watson and all the other actors and actresses came across that way in some regard.
You're right.
I feel like the constraints put on them were maybe a little bit more heavy than anything, but their performances didn't shine for me. I totally agree with you in that.
Okay, so at the end of the episode, we're just going to say right now, what was your favorite part of the movie?
The Beauty and the Beast song, and probably for nostalgic purposes.
Beauty and the Beast song,
not anything. Yeah,
I can get into it.
And the Beast.
Yeah, I like that part too.
I like the spark of romance. I'm a sucker for that. If folks out there know that I'm totally a romantic comedy guy. In a lot of different ways.
Gross, dude. So gross. I think my favorite part of this film, it must have been the Be Our Guest kind of bit. That was my favorite part of the original, and I think that was the one song that was translated fairly well and visualized fairly well. I really did like that.
Well, it had a clear focus.
I was into it. I can get behind it. I'm about it. Now, finally, to finish the episode, we're going to give actually a rating to this film, Beauty and the Beast. This is for the Off the Cuff segment, of course. We just saw this movie, so keep in mind opinions do change. But this is our Off the Cuff impressions and rating out of 5. Daniel, what are you giving this film?
Again, we're going to do this out of 5. Originally in the car, I was quite settled on 3. I'm going to go ahead and give this guy a 2.75.
You're going to... Let's just keep it a 5. Let's not do 7.5s. That's too confusing.
You want to go 2.5 or 2.75? Okay, 2.5 is a 50%.
Because are you really going to give something a 2.25? I don't think you are.
Okay, but
that's what I'm saying.
Okay, but... A 50% is a super harsh rating, and I don't feel like it deserves that way.
Hey, man, don't view it that way. This is our rating. It's out of 5. Honestly, a 4 is a great rating. A 3 is a great rating. 2 is questionable, and a 1 is not very good. So don't worry about what it translates to numbers.
So, okay, if I'm being totally honest, then I guess I would say yes. This is a 2.5 out of 5.
I'm gonna actually agree with you on this one. We're the kind of people that if a film is not necessarily our favorite, we'll always kind of say it's hard to say it's bad because it's made well, but I'll be fucking straight up with you that I don't think this movie is made well a lot of the time. I think there's a lot of green screen usage that is unnecessary, and it takes me out of the film. And honestly, that's the only thing I was fucking looking for, because this movie is a beat-for-beat remake. So
and we have to keep in mind that a huge part of the movie-making business is being a part of the crowd that you're catering a movie to, right? We hear all the time about movies being ahead of their time and stuff like that too, but there also comes a point when a movie really nails it and hits home and is released and the crowd loves it and it lives on through history, and I want to see more of those personally. I could be biased. You guys might disagree with me. That's totally okay. But for me, I think sometimes it needs to fit the scene, fit the crowd. It needs to fucking drive home in a certain sense. There's that almost marketing aspect to the fucking release of a film.
I do think
that helps.
I think the marketing aspect honestly is there on this film. I just think it's the film that lacks. I think the film doesn't go above and beyond, which is what you're kind of saying in a sense here, in terms of changing anything. It's so similar to the point where I'm just craving the original film. And because of that, I'm also going to give this film a 2.5 out of 5. And I mean, I don't want to make it seem like that's a fucking bad score, because I think that's a comparable movie, and I think it's something maybe if you're a fan of the original, you're gonna enjoy to a degree. And I will say this though specifically, is if you've never seen the original, you will definitely enjoy this movie and have a fun time with Beauty and the Beast. But I do think that it doesn't bring anything new to the table, and I mean, they're fucking just riding the dick hard on the Disney nostalgia that's been happening for the past 5 years, thanks to Tumblr and shit like that. Like, that's just what it is, and it's working for them, obviously. And I don't want to say that it's necessarily all bad, because I think it could work, and I'm hoping the next Lion King movie will maybe be better, or the Mulan movie. I don't know. They'll probably whitewash that shit, though. This is my opinion. PC shit, whatever. SJW, don't worry about it. Anyways, guys, that's been the Off the Cuff segment for this week. Of course, the video cut because our cameras suck, but this is fading to thumbnail, which you've already seen. My name is Kyle.
And I am Dan. Thanks for tuning in, guys. As always, check out our Facebook page, our Twitter, our Instagram. We are available also on Patreon. If you do want to consider donating to the podcast, tune in. Drop us a link. We're going to be re-releasing a new intro soon to that, and some new perks as well. So thanks again for tuning in.
Yeah, and don't forget, the best way to fucking spread the show around the world is subscribing. Subscribe to the YouTube and subscribe to the SoundCloud, and just tell a friend. Tell a friend. Word of mouth helps, guys. Anyways, we'll see you guys next week. Actually, that's a lie. We'll see you this Friday for the return of the Second Viewing Podcast. It'll be a lot of fun, guys.
Stay tuned.
So stay tuned.
Episode 1.
Woo! Woo!